beer, it's good for you.
Hello and welcome to the video. Within this video we'll be hearing from Kee from Kegland in regards to his advice to homebrewers, which I'm sure you will find very interesting. So let's just go straight into it.
Right, hi Kee, nice to see you.
Hey David, how we doing?
Yeah, all good, all good. So what I was wondering, I'm sure a lot of people come up to you and ask you for advice on brewing. What is it you generally say to them as a response?
It sort of depends. I mean, a lot of the people that come to advice are sort of looking, they're sort of new brewers getting into it. But I think the advice I would say, to any brewer though getting into it is like really making sure you're honing in your tongue, I suppose, because it's one of those things these days. I suppose there's so many people when you look up at recipes, they got this exact mash temperature, this exact grain, or that exact recipe, or whatever. And ultimately, all that matters is how it tastes in the end, and like tasting throughout the process. Like I think it's one of those things that people say, they're looking for a very specific gravity when they get to their final gravity, and but really at the end of the day, if it tastes really good and you learn what that tastes like, so tasting the grain itself, tasting even when people talk about efficiencies, like what are your efficiencies and stuff like that, and people get very, very technical into the figures and the percentages that they've achieved, and that's nice to know. And don't get me wrong, we love selling all the gear that measures all that and make a lot of money out of it. But I think sometimes we sort of get a bit too disconnected by intensively looking at all the numbers.
Yeah, so it's not a video game, right?
Yeah, it's not a video game. And ultimately, and if you just sort of, when you're emptying the mash tun, you can even taste the grain from top to bottom to know what the efficiencies are like, because it'll taste sweet if, and too sugary. So it's one of those things we intensely get, into the numbers, which is good for record keeping and going back to records. But I suppose people getting into it, like learning what everything should taste like, from the grain to the unfermented wort to the, the wort when it gets to the end of the fermentation process is really one of the most important things, honing in the tongue, I reckon. And we kind of have somehow forgotten about that. Nobody talks about that anymore.
Yeah. No, I think you make a very good point, Kee. Yeah, so Kee, as a company, you're known as, the people that really listen to their customers. Just so that we can get a bit more benefit from that, have you got any suggestions to the customers as to the sort of feedback that you'd be looking for at all?
Well, we're looking for any feedback, David. I mean, as you know, we spend a lot of our time going through the comments on YouTube, or emails that come in, or comments on Facebook groups and stuff like that. And look, a lot of the great products that we've made, the reality is the ideas have come from our customer base. So, it's really important to keep those communication channels open. And I suppose from you guys at home, you've got to understand your value, when you in this process. I mean, we really take on everything that you say and love to hear back from you. So, if you want to join the Facebook group that we've got, or any of our retailers have Facebook groups, they've got, they often feed that information back up to that. That is really the best, thing that we can do, because I think it's so great. We've never seen an industry like this where there's, so much, close contact with our customer base, feeding that, information back, going directly to us manufacturing the stuff, and, very quickly going into a process where we're manufacturing that gear. So often there's ideas which I've seen, customers come up with, and it's less than 12 months when that actually becomes a physical product. So that is not common, I would say, in other industries. So it's kind of cool that exists, I think.
And I guess that feeds your passion too, right?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
People want.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, so bouncing ideas around is an important part of it. And it's why we often also start talking about, some new developments quite early, because we're often, fishing for feedback to see what people think. So, yeah, look, we really appreciate it. And we have to say thanks to our customer base for being, part of this process.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, that's great, Kee. Well, thanks ever so much for all the information as usual. Much appreciated. And, bye for now.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks again, David.
Cheers,
much appreciated.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
All right. See you. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this interview. Look out for more content on my channel of interviews filmed at the Craft Brewers Conference and Brew Expo America 2023. At the point of making this video, I already have made live the interviews that you see on screen now that I believe should be of interest to all types of brewers, with content featuring general brewing information, equipment, as well as yeast and hops. I also have more coming on top of this in the future too. I do hope that you found this video useful, informative and interesting. If so, why not consider liking and subscribing? For further support, you can join the channel's Facebook group, and if you would like to support the channel, then check out the channel's merchandise store, as all profits go back into the channel. Until next time, happy brewing!